The Icons of Real Estate Podcast. Are you ready to learn the proven money-making secrets from top-producing Icon agents? Ready to skyrocket your business? This podcast is for you. Tune in every week with your host, Tomasz Fonseca, and find out how to implement proven strategies to 10 times your business, from $3 million to $30 million in just 12 months. Brought to you by the Masters in Real Estate Marketing, Arter SEO.
Welcome back to the Icons of Real Estate podcast. Today, we're excited to welcome Michelle to the show, a leading real estate professional. Now, Michelle is well known for her expertise and dynamic online presence across Facebook, Zillow, and Instagram, where you'll find her under Listings by Michelle. We'll tag her at the bottom. But she has a strong commitment to guiding clients through every step of the home buying and selling journey. She's built a loyal following thanks to her insightful market updates, practical tips for buyers and sellers, and her fresh, engaging approach to showcasing properties. Now, we can't wait to learn more about her journey, the story behind Listings by Michelle, and the keys to her success in today's competitive real estate market. But guys, help me welcome the one and only Michelle Cooper. How are you doing today? You okay?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's a true honor.
Excited to be here.
Well, let's get straight into a deep dive. But Michelle, could you share a bit more about your journey into real estate and what inspired you to get started? And furthermore, how has your career evolved over time?
So I got started in real estate basically because I was a buyer and I had a terrible buying experience with the agent that I had that was from my church.
Okay.
And I was very plugged into the church and thought, okay, well, this gal is in the Bible study. I'm going to use her. Didn't know anything about her background in real estate, just went with her. And at that time, it was 2005, when the housing market was crazy, before the crash of 08, 9, 10.
Yeah.
And so went with her as my agent, and there was bidding wars out there, and we just kept losing. I was very discouraged. I had what I thought was my dream home, and ended up in a bidding war, and my offer sat on a fax machine.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh, wow.
the agent, and she didn't present the offer to the seller other than she sent it, but it sat on a fax machine and never followed up the phone call and such. And so basically just lost out on that. That was the final house. There'd been 3 houses, and was very discouraged. And I talked to some friends, and they said, I think maybe you need to find a different agent, one that's going to work harder for you.
Most definitely.
And so I did that. And then I found what became the home we bought and closed on, which was a better home than the previous that I had lost out on. And with this new agent, and her approach was so awesome that, not only did I get the house, but she basically inspired me to want to become a realtor. Because I just felt like if I was a realtor, I would be like her. I would work hard for my clients like she did. And so that's pretty much what started the bug in my ear. And at that time, we were contractors, and I have a business background, and have ran many businesses. But anyway, so I had to basically close my businesses and start into real estate. And within the next few years, basically, I made that happen. So I got into real estate in 2011 after the housing market crash. So you can imagine it was a crazy time to be getting your real estate license. Most people were like getting out of the business. Yeah. And I was getting into it. So yeah.
No, most definitely. Guys, if you haven't watched, we haven't understood what happened in regards to 2008-2009 crash, there's a cool film called The Big Short. It explains everything. And Michael Burry, he shorted the housing market. He built a financial institution and read all the financial statements and the mortgages that were backed by these bad loans, which, yeah, anyway, go away,
Mm-hmm.
watch that if you can. But I like how you
Yeah.
changed your experience going into a bad experience, and then now facing a good experience. You've then used that to inspire you of, what type of customer service people want, and you know what type of customer service people don't want, and now you've used that to empower yourself, to help many, well, hundreds and thousands of buyers across the market, which is tremendous, Michelle. Thank you. But you have a very strong social media presence across all platforms like Facebook, Zillow, Instagram. How do you decide like what content to post, and what role has social media played in building your home? I mean, your business.
Okay. Well, you just have to, that's a hard one, especially because I'm not a millennial. I didn't grow up with a phone in my
Mhm.
hand, and which a lot of the younger brokers did. So it was just something that, again, I think having the business background, knowing that you have to be out there, you
Mhm.
have to be front and center in front of people. I think the average person knows like 10 agents or something like that. And,
Okay.
there's a lot of realtors out there. But, the old rule was 90% of the deals are being done by 10% of the brokers. I think it's probably less than that.
Wow.
But just knowing that I need to be out there in the public eye, having, content that is valuable to people, staying cutting edge, based on how the market's changing and shifting, which, the real estate market adjusts every about 13 years.
Mhm.
So, and we've seen it so much lately, with the interest rate rise and inflation and such like that. So people are being bombarded every day with content and information, and so it's got to be one that stands out. I personally know my strengths and I know my weaknesses, and so I sometimes outsource that stuff. I will go with companies that I know stay on top of what is the most um, important content to be placed out there based on the
Mhm.
market, and then let them handle that for me. So I can make suggestions. I could say, tailor it this way, or if I have a certain house that closed in a certain neighborhood that I'm trying to farm or target, I'll say, hey, this house that I just sold, put it out there and, create an ad around it, da da da. So yeah, so I can have as much control as I want or as little control, and outsource it so that I can be where I am best in front of my clients and working with my clients face to face.
Most definitely, valuable insight there, because now we're living in a digital age, and someone that's done it as good as you have, I think that would be valuable tips to whoever's watching. Get on social
Yeah.
media, get the right outsourcing team so it doesn't take away your precious hours in the day by closing and communicating with clients. Delegate to the right people and the trusted people, which is so important. Today's
Yes.
competitive market. What are base rates at the
Yes.
5% now? The Fed dropped them
They're about
6.7.
6.75.
Oh
Yeah.
wow, okay, six point
Yeah.
seven
And I
five
think
percent.
so they just, and they're saying they may come down a couple more reductions over, the feds are saying, over this next year, which that would be awesome. But that's going to lead to a whole nother host of stuff if that happens. So I
What
think
what
it's
what what
good.
what would you expect it go down to? How would the market like react, do you think?
Um, I've heard that we might get to the fives. That's what
Mhm.
I've heard. I think their goal is to get to fives by the end of next year. So we'll just keep ticking down, and I try to stay on top of that with my loan officers.
Mhm.
But obviously, a trusted, good loan officer, mortgage loan officer, is the expert in this area. I try to stay on top of it. Like I said, I give them calls and say, where are we at, where are we going, da 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 da. So as that changes, as I hear about changes that are expected to come, I, let my clients know, but it's hard to predict. I mean, if we had a crystal ball to know what real estate was going to do, I would be a
Would be a millionaire.
multimillionaire.
Yeah, most
Everybody
definitely.
would be. It'd be like, don't buy that house in this neighborhood, buy this one, or whatever. So yeah, it's a hard one to predict, but I think that we are on an uptick, to getting this market going again, because it's been so stagnant, because homes are just so unaffordable for people,
Yeah.
with the prices being as high as they are, and then the interest rates being as high as they are. So they're just unaffordable. So and then we have an inventory issue as well. So people that have owned their homes and been financing over this last decade, are in, 5% or less interest rate. So they're not going to sell their house, even if they want to downsize or upsize.
Yeah,
They're
definitely.
not wanting to sell their house because, when you have a 2.5, 3.5, 4.5% interest rate, you don't want to do 6.5, 6.75,
Yeah,
unless
the
you
triple.
unless you have to, So, because of, you know, work, you have to move, relocate, or marriage, or, a death in the family or something like that.
Mhm.
So those are things usually that in this last market that we've been in, that's what will make people move. But otherwise, why we have such a slow, stagnant market is because people are just choosing to stay. And as those rates drop, that is going to change, and that's going to shift. So we're in a buyer's market right now. So buyers basically, if they're looking at a home, the sellers need to have that home polished and dialed in,
Most definitely.
because my buyers are looking at homes through a magnifying glass. So, and they're negotiating hard. We're writing hard offers, multiple offers, and you need a good realtor who's good at negotiating and has negotiating skills.
Oh, most
So,
definitely.
yeah.
So just following on from there, what advice would you give to first-time home buyers or sellers who might feel
That's a great
overwhelmed
question.
by like
And
the
I,
market current
yeah,
conditions? Yeah.
yeah, I actually made some notes that I would love to share, with some first time home buyers.
Most
So
definitely.
right now with inflation the way it is, um, you depending on the loan, you can go, 47%, 49. I've even heard, I think they can even go to 51 or 2 even percent debt to income ratio, based on what you make versus what all your bills and all your debt is, what you have left over.
Hmm.
I tend to tell my first time home buyers, to try to stay, around 25% of what their take home is.
Okay.
So, in a lot of people are probably going to disagree on that with me, but
So in
I,
regards to, sorry, 25% of what their take home is, as
yeah.
put the deposit down at that level, or
So, as what your purchase price should be
okay, purchase price
for
would
your
be,
home.
would that
Yeah.
be the partners combined or just themselves?
So the loan officer, when a loan officer is going to look at your numbers, they're going to
Hmm.
look at your debt to income ratio. They call it a DTI.
Hmm.
They might say, your debt to income ratio is, 50% or 49%, and they might be willing to loan on more. But try to keep your mortgage at what, approximately 25%
Ah,
of what your
okay,
take home is.
okay,
Your mortgage. I guess I should have
okay,
said that.
mortgage. Yeah, that's right.
Yes, that's the part. That was the part I left out. I apologize. Second is go with a conventional home loan.
Hmm.
And if you can do a 15-year fixed rate. And I say go with a conventional home loan because then you're not paying mortgage insurance. So
Okay.
more prepaid mortgage insurance is PMI. And so when you do less than 20%, you pay that. And so it's better to have, what you're paying into your mortgage as going towards your principal and interest versus that mortgage insurance. So try to avoid that if you can. If you can't, I still say buy. I say don't rent. Because there's still little inventory for rentals right now. So the rental rates are, ridiculously high. So it's better to buy, because you can always refinance out of that PMI. And sometimes you can negotiate for the seller to buy you out on that, as well. So there's some good loan programs out there. And when you work with me, I work with the best loan officers. So we're going to look at all those options, to what is the most financially sound decision for you to make when you're purchasing a home. But I am a huge believer in not waiting, buying real estate. I can't even tell you how many first-time home buyers are like, we're waiting till the rates drop. We're waiting till the housing market crashes. We're waiting till we save enough money for this or for that. I say, don't wait. I say, if you have good credit and you can get into a home, buy a home now. Buy a home now. Don't wait. Don't rent. Don't throw your money away. Buy a home. It's the biggest, soundest investment you will ever make. So
most definitely. You talked about having, if we had a crystal ball, we'll all be millionaires and could understand what would happen in the near future. But the closest thing to the crystal ball would be your sphere of influence, which is your network essentially. And you touched on having financial people in place and having the right contacts. Who else, in like just trying to create your own crystal ball, who else as a realtor in your network should you have for those trying to be them?
Oh, that's a great question. So in a real estate contract, I think there's 7 parties involved. Well, as we talk through them, let's count. So you have the buyer, you have the seller, you have the buyer's agent, you have the seller's agent, and you each should have your own agent. By the way, unless there's a situation on dual agency where the seller and the buyer are negotiating the deal, and then they're just having an agent write it up. Then it can work to have one agent. But we could do a whole nother podcast on that. So it's just like an attorney. If you're going to court, you don't take the other party's attorney and you use that attorney when you go to court. It's the same principle. So, and then you have title, you have escrow, you have a loan officer, you have an appraiser who doesn't work for the bank. They don't talk to the loan officer, the appraiser, by the way. They can talk to me, they can talk to the brokers, the realtors, or the agents. I mean, not every agent is a broker, and not everybody's a realtor. They have to be on the board of realtors, right? And then that's but anyway, so and then you have the home inspector. And yes, get a home inspection, buyers, every single time. Don't take the seller's home inspection. You can do that. You can call if the seller already has a home inspection, you can call their inspector and say, come out and meet me. Or you can say, here, you have this on your report. Tell me more about it. The seller will usually allow that, because the seller paid for it. But I still say, get your own home inspector and get a home inspection. So what is that, 9? That should be about it.
So
I don't think I left anybody out.
Very, very valuable insights there.
But yeah, so back to your question, when, who is in my, these, I have home inspectors, that I'll I'll give to my buyers. I'll say, here's 3 to 5 home inspectors. I've used them all before, or my buyers have used them before. They did a good job by these buyers, and you call them and you pick one. I don't send one, and I don't say this is the one you should use. I send 3 to 5. And then title escrow reps, usually I try to use the same gals that I know, gals or guys that are tried and true. They do a great job, and have, seamless closings. Loan officers, I have a few of those as well that I'll refer, their names to my buyers and say, here's a few loan officers that my buyers have used in the past, and that do a good job. for my buyers. They answer their phone, they answer their texts, they answer their emails. That's a big thing, because I've had some loan officers with some banks, I won't mention any names, but they don't return calls, they don't return emails, and that's very frustrating, not just to me as the realtor, but also my buyers. They're just not getting the level of service that they should be getting. So basically, yes, I have those, names, so that, and when or house cleaners, if somebody's going to get, like I was saying, buyers are looking through the magnifying glass at these properties. Now, sellers, you need to have a professional cleaner come in your house and clean your house, because you may not be as good of a cleaner as you think you are. and same with landscapers and stuff like that. So, carpet cleaners and stuff. So yeah, I have a host of references that I could fire off to my sellers, to my buyers, to save them work and time. People are so busy today, going 100 miles an hour all the time and, different directions. And I'm the professional. I do this every day. You don't. And so I can go into your home, I can advise you, and I can give you a list of all these things so that it's just mindless for you. You can just start making phone calls and start booking appointments. So,
yeah,
yeah.
that's the most important thing, and we're going to definitely drop some tags and links for people to reach out to you. Just going on towards the end, we've asked that one. Can you tell us about, say, a particularly challenging or memorable transaction you've handled, and what did it teach you about the industry?
Oh, wow. Well, probably the most challenging transactions that I've had was coming off this last few years, I guess, but like this last, let's say, the decade, when the housing market picked back up and it was just rocking and rolling, and there was multiple offers and bidding wars. And so probably was when we had a contract, and it was contingent 6 layers deep.
Oh, wow. 6.
Yeah. So basically my buyer, I was representing the seller, and the buyer was contingent upon selling their house.
And like
a chain. Yes. And then their buyer was contingent, and their buyer, and it was 6 layers deep. So you can imagine all the parties involved in this, and the communication had to be spot on. And a lot of agents would shy away from this. A lot of agents would say, "Oh, you're not doing your seller," but it was such a great.
And did it all go through? Did it all work?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It all went through. It all worked, and they all got closed. And what that taught me, I would say, is it really matters how good the agents are that are working for their buyer or seller, and are they in it to win it, and are they going to stick through the transaction to the end. Like I said, keeping the communication lines open with all parties, and just staying on the ball. And it literally took all 12 of these brokers, the 11, and then me, to do that. And so I had good realtors that were down the chain to make that happen. So if there was one missing link on that, like an agent who dropped the ball for her client, his or her client, then it wouldn't have worked. So yeah, so it taught me that to work together, and a real estate transaction should always be a win-win between a buyer and a seller. It's not a good real estate transaction if somebody's losing. So as realtors, we need to keep that in mind. Or agents, I know I throw a few different words around: agents, realtors, brokers, but there's and I could explain that to you guys, but like I said, you don't have to be a member of the board of realtors for every brokerage firm. So that's why we're called different things. But I think that that's the biggest part, is that to work together, make it a win-win between the buyer and seller, and agents, negotiating well and fair, negotiating fair,
Yeah.
So
No, most definitely. I know a lot of, say, investors and developers, they always want a good deal where it's not always a win-win, but in regards to realty, you're there
mhm,
for the customer and you need to hold your hand. So
yeah.
if you can get a win-win, then most definitely always go for it. And the fact that the chain of six all communicated and it went through goes to show teamwork makes the dream work, you know?
Yes, absolutely. 1,000% agree.
100%. But just running out of time, so we'll wrap it up. But we'll hopefully get
Okay.
you again. But we'd love to,
Yeah.
if you had maybe your own podcast series, you'd be a star at it. But
Thank you.
where do you go from here, and what are your goals in the near future?
So that's a great question. And I I'm kind of an anomaly because I'm licensed in 3 states.
Wow.
I'm licensed in Washington, primarily the Seattle, Washington real estate market is where I started. I'm licensed in Colorado, primarily the Eagle Vale real estate market is where I primarily work out of, but I also work down in Denver and out of Lake County and and then I'm licensed in Arizona,
Hmm.
and so I'm working in the Maricopa County and the Pima County, and I'm about to branch out into the Sedona and Flagstaff area out there as well. So I'm on the plane a lot. My clients say, "Hey, Michelle, we need you here," and I get on a plane and I'm there. And I might stay in town for a month, and I might stay in town for a few days. It just depends. I have a team in all 3 states that below me that work under me and assist me. So that's Cooper Real Estate Team. And so from here, basically, I'm going to really focus on the Arizona market
Okay.
because it is I believe Zillow says it is their hottest market right now,
Okay.
according to them. And I am a premier broker with Zillow, so you can find me all over Zillow. But I'm going to target this market right now because it's the fifth largest city right now. Everybody's moving here. They are building houses like crazy. So I love that because, like we we're talking about, real estate's unaffordable right now for a lot of markets because they're not building and they need to. So Maricopa County is doing a great job with that, especially on the west side of the valley. There's a lot of houses going up there. The east side of the valley has been developed for quite a while. They're still building out here as well, but yeah, so they're doing a good job. So I'm going to focus in Arizona, and then and I still do luxury real estate in Colorado. I like that these 2 states touch. I can drive literally and be in
Absolutely love it.
some of the luxury markets in Arizona or Colorado within 8 hours, 10 hours. So but that is my focus. That is what my plan is. And yeah, so look for me in Arizona if you're down here.
No, most
So
definitely. In
yeah.
regards to our viewers, how can they reach you if they wanted to?
Okay, so you can reach me. My email is listingsbymichelle@gmail.com. My website is listingsbymichelle.com. And if you text me or call me 425-923-3920, my phone is glued to me. So, and I'm available to my clients pretty much sun up to sundown. If you call me, text me, I get back to you right away. So, um, and then, of course, you can find me on Instagram. Everything's Listings by Michelle. So,
Most
yeah.
definitely.
And then I
Okay,
think
guys.
on Facebook,
Yeah.
I might be Cooper Real Estate Team, actually. Listings by Michelle and Cooper Real Estate Team, because I have a couple different presences on Facebook. So,
Okay,
and
no,
yeah, we
that's
can have
yeah,
the
tremendous. If you didn't
links.
catch that, guys, we're gonna have all the links below attached.
Yeah,
But no, you've given lots of value, touched on buying and selling, your thoughts in the future, touched on our importance of network as well, and just so many more valuable insights, and how
absolutely.
teamwork can make the dream work. But um,
Yes, it does.
yeah, but just one last fun question. Got a minute left.
Okay.
At the Icons of Real Estate podcast, we're what number one podcast. We're passionate about making podcasts for others. But fun question is, if you had your own podcast, what would you call it, Michelle?
That's a great question. I don't know that I've thought of that. Um, probably Cooper Real Estate Dream Team or something like that.
Dream
It
team.
would definitely
like
have to have it would definitely have to have my name in it. So, Cooper. I just, and the Cooper Real Estate Dream Team or something to that effect. Yeah,
Well,
but I'm going to think about that, because now that you asked that, I need to figure that out, because I would love to have a podcast.
No, like this has gone so quickly. It's like
Yeah,
we didn't have enough time, but I hope to see you again. But
absolutely.
yeah, Ethan Thomas.
I would love that, Ethan. Thank you for your time today.
No, most definitely, it was a pleasure having you on. And guys, well, thank you for another episode. I'll speak to you soon, Michelle. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.